Hello, let's talk about programming cables. When I first started with AVR parts, it was with the Nano, and then I experimented with the ATtiny 85 and the ATmega 328. Just those two parts alone got me a long way. However, programming requires some form of a programmer and a 6-pin cable. I started looking into newer parts, and what's UPDI? I found Spence Condi's very useful guide on the subject and then set to debugging. I was impressed with how fast it can program, and all with just one programming pin, a USB to serial converter, a diode, and a resistor. Once I was satisfied with the configuration, I met a set of cables to support my development boards for either the older ICSP SPI or the newer UPDI programming modes. I've made 3 cables to support my family of boards. A 6-pin cable for ICSP programming with my ATtiny, ATmega, and also the AT-SOIC14 boards. A 6-pin cable for UPDI programming with my AT-SOIC14 board. And a 3-pin cable for UPDI programming with my AVR SOIC20 board. Note that my AT-SOIC14 board has support for ICSP or UPDI programming. Here I have a few examples of devices that can be used as programmers. Starting with ICSP, I've always used a Nano, but an Uno will work just as well. I've modified my Nano to be a dedicated programmer with a shield attached to support through-hole parts. I did have to modify the reset line for the ICSP header so my cable can plug in without using the flying reset lead. Optionally, you can place the Nano on a breadboard with a capacitor and attach my ICSP cable with the flying reset lead. For the Uno, you can plug the capacitor and reset in directly. For UPDI, I've used a couple of types of CH340 USB to serial converters. The CH340E is my favorite due to size and no LED loading on either serial line. The CH9340C also works well. Other converters may work, but I've not tested with them. Now that we have looked at programmers, let's see how the cables connect. On the programmer side, your cable will either connect to the ICSP programmer header or the power TX RX pins of the USB serial converter. On the device side, my cables are all soft touch, so you just hold it to the programming header. Note that on my AVR SOIC20 board it uses a 4-pin header, but I only use a 3-pin soft touch for connecting to pins 2 through 4. Now let's get ready to program and cover some basics for the Arduino IDE. First, you will need to use the boards manager to load the core files for your part. There is the ATtiny core, DX core, and or the megatiny core. Once you have the core files loaded, go to the Tools Board selection and pick the one that supports the part you are programming. Here I've shown a selection of the different part families for older and newer parts. Once you select the board file, you can then select the specific part number for your design, then select any options you would like to have. Make sure your programmer is connected to your device to be programmed. This example is using a CH340 USB to serial converter with one of my UPDI cables. Once you've connected the PC's USB, check your port connection and then select the programmer option to use serial UPDI with one of the programming speeds. I've tested a range of speeds and I've not seen any issues. Select Burn Bootloader, which will set the configured options you've selected into the device. This only needs to be done once per part or any time you make changes to the configuration options. You could then load your program into the device by selecting Sketch, Upload using Programmer. This completes my programming and cables guide. Please visit my Tindy page for purchasing either blank or assembled boards and cables. You can check out my GitHub for detailed assembly guides and schematics. The links are provided in the video description below.